It is June 26, 2023. It is 6 p.m. We're on the second floor of City Hall for a common council meeting. Media has been notified. Agenda has been posted. Clerk, please take the roll call.
David Holt.
Here.
Stephen Jopek.
Here.
Eileen Daniel.
Here.
Carrie Mikulowski.
Here.
Gerald Anderson.
Here.
Thomas Barnett.
Here.
Tom Kelly. Leanne Felton.
Here.
Chris Hannes.
Here. We do have quorum. Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to number 4, which is public comment. I have a Terry Reese. And then if you could just push the button for the microphone turns red.
Hello. Good evening. Not used to talking like this, but I just had a comment. I had called the mayor's office about it and the band shell over there at Hodag Park. On June 13th, they had a band there that was so unending loud that I could close. I'm in Phoenix Villa Apartments over there, the senior apartments, and I face the park on Thayer Street there. And it was so loud I could close my windows and have my air conditioner going and still have a hard time hearing my TV. And I talked to the people that, set up the bands at the, I think it was at the the radio station. And I did leave a message at the mayor's. Mm-hmm. And they're saying, somebody at my Phoenix Villa talked to the guy that was the sound guy down there, and he said there was no noise level that they were supposed to keep to, and that they were allowed to rent that or anything like that and have music going till 11 o'clock at night at any kind of volume that they want. And I would think that there should be some consideration for the people that live around there. There should be a certain sound level that they should not be able to go above. I mean, you could actually feel it boom, boom, booming in the building even from the bass. It was so loud. And I mean, I'm in with music just like everybody else. I love music, but when it gets to that point of, volume, that's going to impact a lot of people that like to have their windows open in the summer. And there's been other ones, the Art Start had music down there, or the art show that had down there, and you could hear a little bit of music, but it was fine. It was, a normal level and stuff. But these guys had their amplifiers so loud, it was just ungodly. Even one of the ladies went down with the guy that lives in our building. She said, I'll never go down there again. It was so loud. I mean, just too bad they didn't aim that towards the lake and have some kind of a barrier on the back of it or something to keep it from impacting all the people that live there when it's that loud. So I'd appreciate it if maybe somebody could do something with that. Set it at a normal sound level. The people are right there in front of you that are coming to hear it. It shouldn't be that you can't hear your TV when you had your windows open or anything. But then that's my comment. Cool. And I thank you for listening, and maybe we can get to a, even keel there. And I thank you, Mayor.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and you guys have a good night.
Was there anyone else for public comment? Okay. Any alders have any public comment? Okay, not seeing. Moving on to number 5, mayor's comments. At this point, I do not have any. Number 6, which is city administrator's report. Patrick?
Nothing besides what's in the report.
Okay, moving on to number 7, which is public hearings. They do not apply for this meeting. Number 6 will be presentation. We have the 2022 audit by Baker Tilly. Refer to you, Patrick.
Brian Romer is on, or sorry, not Brian Romer. We have someone on from Baker Tilly on Zoom, I believe. Amanda, are you there? Barely.
Need Austin for minutes. Need Austin for minutes too. Can you take minutes? Okay, while they work that out, if it's okay with council, we could go to 10A, which is discuss resolution for discuss and an action on resolution 2023-29, which is approving the renewal of a mobile home license for MHP investment properties.
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal of a mobile home license for MHP properties, property investment.
Is there a second?
Joe Pike, second.
Okay. Any discussion? Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, I had moved to second this last meeting to postpone it last meeting because I thought we needed to find out what controls we have over manufactured home parks. And the city administrator has in his report a suggestion for an ad hoc committee or task force to review our present ordinances pertaining to this and to recommend changes. And I'd like us not to forget that aspect of it. I'm in favor at this point of approving the renewal of the license, but I'd like us not to forget that we really don't have a very good system for how we deal with this.
Mr. Barnett?
Brian, can you please fill us in on maybe clarify more in your report of your feelings about the current situation at the mobile park?
Yeah, so there's nothing really extraordinary going on there where we would say, no, we don't want to renew this license at this time, and there's nothing in our ordinance with any teeth in it for us to be able to keep them, or where if you don't approve the license that it would do anything. Our ordinance really just kind of states that the license gets renewed, and I put in there that this could be something that we need to maybe talk with the attorney further on. And that's where we kind of came up with the ad hoc committee. At this moment, right now, where it stands, it's not gonna take anything, but it's not gonna give anything if you approve it at this time. It's gonna, unfortunately, kick the can down the road for another year until we do get something in our ordinance for some bite, if that's what you're looking for, the direction you want us to take. Then we can do that. But right now, we're in that period where that license needs to be renewed or not renewed, and if it doesn't get renewed, then we really don't have an answer in the ordinance of what happens.
Ms. Daniel?
It's a one-year renewal, right? So they do this every year.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think that that's an unreasonable request then to just go ahead and approve this, and then we've got a year to look at the ordinance, really take into, consideration, really put some time into it rather than trying to rush through a change in the ordinance so that these folks can get their license. So that's my take on it.
Mr. Holt?
Yeah, on that note, I would emphasize, given my experience with pretty much anything on this council, that we light a fire under getting that discussion going. It has things like this have a very common tendency to just disappear and then we'll be here next June wondering where it went.
Mr. Barnett?
I would also like to remind everybody that if passing in this tonight, that doesn't mean that if something happens 2 months down the road, there's always room to change the ordinance and resolutions and all that we do here. So nothing is clearly set in stone, because at any given time we can come back and change something if it's not working. So I agree with Eileen that a year is not an unreasonable thing to ask for, and in the meantime Brian can work with them to maybe come up with some better practices.
Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, I basically agree with what's been said by the last couple of speakers. The state statute does authorize, revoking a license even if necessary, according to whatever ordinances we have if they violate them. But we don't have much of anything in effect now except general nuisance things, and that's what we need to talk about. And it shouldn't, this is the kind of thing we need to be formulating general rules and not trying to deal with a fire when it comes up.
Okay, so since I don't see any other discussion, clerk, please take the roll call.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski,
Aye.
Tom Kelly, Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. I've been informed that we got the IT stuff figured out, so we're going back to 8A, which would be the 2022 audit from Baker Tilly.
Okay, is that better?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I will share my screen. And there we go. Okay, so I'm Amanda Mboka. I am the manager on the city's audit, and I'm here tonight to go over some of the highlights from the 2022 audit. We did issue 2 reports, the financial statements themselves, and then a separate reporting and insights document, which is largely required communications. So rather than flip through all the pages of those reports, we put together the PowerPoint to just go over some of the highlights and benchmark information to let you know kind of where you're sitting in comparison to others. So we'll go through the independent auditor's report, some financial highlights, and then other reports. So the independent auditor's report is first, and this is right at the beginning of the financial statements. It goes through the opinion on the financials, which the city did receive an unmodified or what we sometimes call a clean opinion, which is the highest level of opinion that you can get from an audit. And that indicates that we believe the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects, in accordance with principles generally accepted in the U.S. We did have an emphasis in matter paragraph this year for the adoption of GASB statement number 87 on leases. So that standard resulted in some additional receivables and deferred inflows of resources being booked, as well as some additional footnote disclosures. And then management's responsibilities for preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements, as well as design, implementation, and maintenance of internal controls. And then auditors' responsibilities to obtain a reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement. Reasonable assurance being a high level of assurance, but not absolute. All right, some of the highlights then. We'll start with the general fund and look at the fund balance. So this gives the breakdown of current year and prior year total fund balance, and then the various categories that make up that total. In your case, you only have the two, the unassigned and the non-spendable. So total fund balance did go up this year from about 4.5 million to about 4.9 million. Unassigned saw a very nice increase there from 1.7 million to 2.5 million. The unassigned is the portion that's available for just general operations of the government. The non-spendable category went down slightly. Non-spendable would be those things that either are not in spendable form, or they will eventually be converted into cash, but not for so long into the future that you want to count them right now as available resources. So that category did decrease a little bit this year. The majority of that balance is made up of the advance to the golf course fund, as it has been in previous years. All right, we have the definitions, which I just went through, and then a summary of the income statement results for general fund. You did have a positive variance to budget, both on the revenues and the expenditure side. So overall, positive 395,000 added to fund balance. All right, then one of the very key benchmarks for measuring the health of any government's general fund is looking at the unrestricted, which in your case would be that unassigned fund balance compared to expenditures for the year. And when we do that calculation for 2022, we get that 32% that's at the end of this red line on the chart there. The pinpoints at the top of the graph are median numbers that came from other Baker Tilly client data for populations of less than 10,000, just for comparative purposes. We also have on here the bold black line at about the 25% mark. That is your own internal goal per your policy. And so for 22 was the first year here where it has exceeded that 25% goal, which is good. That's been something that, it's been hovering below that, and the city's been working hard to increase that over the years. The light blue line at the bottom is the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association. That's their recommended minimum. And I would say really bare bones minimum. You really don't want to be less than that. That they're saying no less than 2 months of expenditures, which comes out to about 17%. So you can see in the past, the city had been hovering around that minimum threshold. All right, so good result there for 22. Looking at the general obligation debt for the city, you can see the chart here has the general obligation debt limit, which is a certain percentage that's set by state statutes. And then your actual debt outstanding is the red line below it. You're only using 34% of your legally allowable limit at the end of 22. So that indicates that you have plenty of capacity should you need to issue additional general obligation debt. the breakdown of both the general obligation and other debt that the city has. So important to note that general obligation debt is mostly in the governmental activities or your governmental funds. Just a little bit, about $35,000 is in the business type activities. The other category here with the negative on it, those would be the resources that are available to pay down debt, the resources in your debt service funds and certain TIP funds that could be used to pay down debt should you choose to do so. Revenue debt is another large portion of the debt, actually quite a bit larger than the general obligation portion. And there's not a debt limit on that, so to speak, but there are certain covenants that you need to meet in accordance with the bond documents themselves. And then the other category with the just over $50,000 is for a bond anticipation note that will eventually be converted into revenue debt, again for the business type activities. All right, and there's a link on here. We didn't pull any information from here, but the Wisconsin Policy Forum does have some really nice information, kind of user-friendly, that you can pull comparative information from various cities across the state if you're interested in that kind of information, both for the debt and other fund balance kinds of categories there. All right, one of the other kind of key benchmarks is looking at your debt service, your annual debt service, the principal and interest payments that you're making, and comparing those to your other non-capital expenditures. We remove the capital just because those are, they can fluctuate so much from one year to the next that they can really throw off the trends. So looking at, again, the red line here is the city of Rhinelander, and the bold blue line is the recommended maximum of 20%. The individual debts that are plotted below that are, again, just a median for reference from other Baker Tilly clients with a population of less than 10,000. So you can see you had been kind of hovering right around that maximum and where the other kind of median calculations were. For the past couple of years, that has jumped up a little bit. It's not too far off of the recommended, but it is a little bit higher. All right, switching gears a little bit to the enterprise funds now, the water utility here first we have. Looking at the rate of return, this is a PSC, Public Service Commission benchmark. So the authorized rate of return is set when you go in for a rate order, a rate case with them. So the 2% was what was set in your rate order. Current year is 2.24%, which is still over that kind of authorized rate of return or the goal that your rates were designed for. It is down from the previous year. Operating results we have in the chart below that. So you can see the top line in red is the operating revenues. Bottom line in black is the operating expenses. And you see you have a nice gap between the two, which would indicate you have a net operating income. And that's good. You do need a bit of a gap there. There are some non-operating items that are not captured in these numbers. So things like your interest expense, and for the water utility, the payment in lieu of taxes that's paid to the general fund would also have to kind of be paid out of that gap. Some benchmarking information, looking at unrestricted cash reserves. So the number that you want to see here is 3 months or more of cash on hand. We're taking your unrestricted cash number in the financials and comparing it to kind of a rough estimate of monthly revenues to come up with the numbers. So you can see for all years presented, you very easily have met that benchmark. Debt coverage is something that is required for your bond agreements, for your revenue debt. The required is 1.25, and then your actual for 2022 was 1.74, and you can see for all years presented, you have met that required debt coverage ratio. And then investment in capital assets is looking at how you fund your capital assets, whether by debt or equity. So what you want to see here is kind of roughly a 50-50 split. 50% or more funded through equity, 50% or less through debt. And you can see you're right around that. Debt is a little bit higher, but really very close to that 50-50 split. Last year, the debt portion was 54%, and I believe the year before that it was 55%, so it is kind of slowly creeping down to that 50%. All right, wastewater utility. No PSC benchmarks for them since they're not regulated by the PSC, but we do have the operating results for the revenues and expenses. You can see not quite as big of a gap for the wastewater utility. Again, they do need some gap in there for payment of interest. They do not have the payment in lieu of taxes, though, that the water utility has. Looking at their unrestricted cash reserves, again, you want to see that top red number being 3 months or more. And wastewater, again, has easily met that benchmark for all years presented. Debt coverage, their wastewater debt coverage is a little bit lower. It's only 1.8 in wastewater rather than the 1.25 in water. And you can see again for all years presented that you have met that debt coverage ratio. Investment in capital assets actually happen to be identical members of the water. And again, that debt percentage has been down. All right, looking at non-major enterprise funds, have not together. We have not put together the ratios just like we did for water, just because they've been operating in more of a deficit position. So stormwater is a newer fund, and it has recently started generating positive cash flows. For 2022, it did end the year with 151 positive cash flow. Now, this does not include the formal advances that have been made to stormwater from both water and wastewater in order to fund capital projects. So these would just be the operating deficits for the cash and investments. Unrestricted net position, again, has been in the negative. It did improve slightly this year from 2.9 deficit last year to 2.5 last year to 2.4 this year. And then golf course, again, this is one we've been talking about every year, operating in the deficit. I did include here, if you look at the financials this year, it does show a cash balance for golf course. That's a separate bank account for kind of purposes of the management company operations. So the, I guess, true cash deficit would be the combination of these top two rows here. You're showing 164 positive, but really 1.9 million has been borrowed from the general fund for cash. That is slightly improved from last year. The unrestricted net position really pretty much unchanged, slightly higher, but really percentage-wise, that's a nominal change. So. All right, and then your TIF districts, this is just kind of a summary of where those are at in terms of what their fund balances are and remaining lives. I don't have a whole lot to talk about on here, but I did want to point out, I guess, TIF 5 was approved to be terminated in 2022. So 2023 will be the last year of increment collected for that one. And that's what I have for the financial information. So I think in kind of general summary, you know, for the majority of the benchmarks, you're either meeting them or heading in the right direction on them. Overall, I think very positive. results, particularly in the general fund, with that big bump up in the ratio there in the unassigned fund balance. Looking at the other reports, we do typically have an additional report that did not apply this year because the city did not expend over $750,000 in federal awards. You did not need a single audit for 22. So one fewer paper reports issued this year because of that. We did still have the reporting and insights document, which again is that separate report, largely required communications, and I would say much of the content is the same as it has been in previous years as well. As part of the audit process, we do have to look at your internal controls. We don't give an opinion on those. We're doing it more to determine what kinds of procedures we should do as part of the audit. But if we find anything that we would consider to be a material weakness or a significant deficiency, then we are required to report those to you. And so we do have the two as have been in previous years, the lack of segregation of duties and financial reporting. Details on pages 6 and 7 of that separate report. Again, those are very common for governments of all sizes, really, but especially the smaller ones. Other communications, we have significant estimates included, pension calculations, which is the WRS, the Wisconsin Retirement System estimates, allowance for doubtful accounts, which is primarily related to the ambulance, landfill obligations, and then depreciation. And no difficulties, disagreements, or consultations to report. We have some other informational points included in there if you're interested in those. Some information on some upcoming GASB standards as well. The uncorrected and corrected misstatements are provided within the report. And then at the very end of the report, there's a two-way communication point, which is more forward-looking. So we're required to do some communications on the front end planning phase of every audit. And so our method for doing that is to roll it into this document rather than issuing a whole separate communication at a different point in the year. So there are some very specific questions in there for the governing body, which I definitely encourage you to look through. If you ever did have anything that you want to share with us as the auditors, please do get a hold of us. My contact information is included in the executive summary at the very beginning of that report, as well as on the slide. So that's what I had for prepared content, but I'm certainly happy to take questions if anyone has any.
Doesn't look like we have any questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to 8B, which was Oneida Avenue and Timber Drive improvement projects update. Randy, our Public Works Director.
So everything's moving along on Oneida. Everything in yellow there is what we have under construction currently with the pavement removed. We found on Anderson a few more timbers, but it looks like we're getting through that corduroy road we talked about earlier. Just to give you an idea what that looked like. This is what we encountered this morning. When you have a weekend of rain, your first Monday is going to be all about dewatering. We did have some complications on the Oneida project over the weekend. In this particular area, this ponded water created excessive head pressure on the existing sewer line, and it backed up into one of the residences. That has been dealt with, but that is one of the hiccups we had over the weekend. And this is just more sanitary sewer work that is going on. And then switching over to Timber Drive. This project is on schedule. Second crew is now on site working with the water main. What you're looking at here is the sanitary sewer. Everything in yellow is what we currently have blocked off. It doesn't show up there. So most of the work is to the west, to the left side of the screen. And as we move west, we are opening up the traffic or the access for the apartments there and for the buildings, the orthodontics place and such. I do daily posts on our Facebook site to let everyone know how to best access those businesses. And these are some of the complications we're running to on there. That yellow line is a gas line, the orange is communication, and you see they had to cut out a section of the concrete storm sewer just so they can install the sanitary. But things are moving. This is what we encountered this morning, so again, it's a dewatering day, but eventually it got done. And here we're installing a fire hydrant. Now I want to give you another example of some of the old work we're encountering and why we're doing this project. What you're looking at here is a modern manhole. The picture on the left shows the 3 or 4 sections. I'm sorry, you have the bottom as the base, and then you have 2 barrel sections and then your cone. And on the right is what it looks like when it's assembled. This is a thick concrete, and the advantage of this is very few joints. And so with fewer joints, there's fewer possibilities for water infiltration. What we removed is this, and this is kind of hard to see, but it's on its side, and this is an old manhole that we pulled out just outside of City Hall, and it's made with brick and mortar. Now with brick and mortar, you have thousands and thousands of joints that are going to soon fail, and this is why you get water infiltration, and this is why these systems start failing. But I just wanted to give you a look at some of what we're removing, some of what we've been putting back. Oh. And then another quick update on Timber Drive that's just developed an hour ago. We are going to do some blasting. We've encountered a rock or two that is just too big to chip away at. We did anticipate the possibility, so the state permits were applied for at the beginning of the project, but Thursday morning, we are going to do some controlled blasting. If you're a pyrotechnic type person, you might want to be down there. But it's not really going to be that exciting, I don't know, unless you're a nerd about it. But that's about it. Any questions? Yes, Eileen?
You mentioned the blasting. Have you notified the neighbors?
Yes, there is one residence that's within the notification perimeter. They have been notified.
Okay.
I have between now and Thursday to inform everybody else and to make sure that indeed all our permits are up. But yes, there is one. We are going to actually have, just as a precaution, as standard, is we're going to have a video camera on that house while the blast is going on. So.
Might I also, have you contacted WJFW to have them do a little announcement about what that loud boom you're going to hear on Thursday is?
I haven't. I can. Hopefully it's not going to be that loud. It's probably going to be a little underwhelming. But it is a blast. It is a dynamite, so, yeah. Anything else? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to let you know that I have received quite a few messages from my constituents saying to thank you for updating the Facebook page with the information that's needed to get around town. It's been extremely helpful to them figuring out their new routes.
Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you. It's good to hear. We do try and make the effort. So.
I do have one question for you, Randy, and it's not directly under your supervision, but it's something that's connected with the Oneida project. I know WPS has been replacing a lot of the gas mains and laterals. Is that putting that project behind schedule now based on the delay, or is that still running okay?
No, the project has been put behind schedule. We're about 3 weeks behind because of these utility locates. I am proposing that the project, being the city, we are probably going to pay overtime to the prime contractor to get back up to schedule. Now, when I do this isn't abnormal. I mean, can be typical on some big projects. It's not a great deal of money right now, but once it's done, I will normally, after the project, look to send this bill to whoever the responsible party is for why we were behind. if it wasn't the city, if the city didn't cause it, which it did not in this case. So I am more than likely going to be initiating a overtime change order to get us back on schedule, because the key here for everything is to get done by September, you know, so.
I mean, are we looking just to do the base course, or are we looking to do top course too this fall? Perfect world.
Binder, the base
Binder
course,
only?
yes.
Okay.
If we could get top end, you know, all depends on what kind of fall we have, but binder's critical. There's no way, and I made this clear in our last progress meeting, there's no way we can go into the winter in gravel with the roads and conditions they're at. So for safety reasons and just for commuting in general, so.
True. Cool.
Anything else?
Anyone? Cool. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to 9, which is ordinances, not apply for this council meeting. We have already done 10A, so now we're moving on to 10B, which is discuss and/or action for Habitat for Humanity sidewalk replacement. Mr. Pat, I believe in your report you had a dollar amount?
Yeah, Randy had gotten a dollar amount. I figured it'd be $1,550 for the replacement of those pieces of sidewalk.
Daniel, I'll make a motion to approve the Habitat for Humanity sidewalk replacement request.
Mikulowski, second.
Okay, motion and second. Patrick, where do we plan on pulling that money from?
Randy, where were you looking to pull those funds from?
We have a concrete flat work fund in streets department. I believe it's around $35,000. So 1,500 is not a big dent in that.
Mr. Jopek?
I mean, just for public record, I think it's important to just say that last meeting that we had, a lot of major points were made and good points were made as to why we should assist Habitat for Humanity in that process. Just the fact that they're building houses for constituents. I think that's super important to recognize that it's not just, we're just throwing $1,500 at somebody who's trying to fix their sidewalk. This is an organization that is volunteered their time, teamed up with the high school and brought kids in that are going into the trades. It's just an all-around community force multiplier. And so I think it is a very valid reason to help them out.
Okay. Not seeing any other discussion. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Karen Mikulowski,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Tom Kelly.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 11A, discuss and/or action for the Common Council meeting minutes from June 12th.
Holt, I'll make a motion to approve the common council meetings minutes from June 12th, 2023.
Daniel, second.
Any discussion? Not seeing. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Moving on to 11B, discuss and/or action on Resolution 2023-38. Refer to you, Mr. Patrick.
Yeah. So we have Brian Romer on the on Zoom here from Ellers. Wendy and I had the finance director. Her and I have been speaking about looking at the utility rates, be it water, wastewater, or storm, sewer. And obviously got to go to the Public Service Commission for water, but we need to be able to fund future projects, take care of what we have, the assets we have, and also just be responsible with the funds that we have to maintain a healthy system for all three of those. It's important to look at rates. You don't want to just give a wild idea at rates. You want to have data to look at. How you compare to other places, how it affects your future projects or your bonded indebtedness right now, so you can meet your expectations. So Wendy and I have been speaking to Ellers about this. And Brian, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, definitely can. Brian, do you have any video or no?
No, I apologize as I'm driving to the 7 o'clock meeting I spoke to you about.
You are on with all the council here, so if you can kind of take us and walk us through your proposal, sure would appreciate it from Ellers.
Sure. So our proposal is designed to be kind of a stop-and-go approach, wherein phase one for each utility would include a long-range cash flow analysis. And mainly what we're trying to highlight there is the volatile nature to which certain operating expenses are impacted within the utilities, meaning, if you have main break or other maintenance items that come up year over year, when you're making budgetary decisions, it can be important to not just look at 1 year, but understand, our context. And so we typically go 5 years into the past and identify the rate performance for each utility within that phase one. And then we go 10 years into the future to identify a rate plan for your utilities. And then the phase two, specifically for water and sewer, would identify a more detailed rate study where for the Public Service Commission and your water utility would be looking at a conventional rate case if needed, or simplified rate case if needed. We do complete as a firm we've completed about 37 rate cases in the past 5 years, as identified in our transmittal letter to the city. And so we're definitely well experienced with the Public Service Commission. And that's also helpful as we can provide additional value as your municipal advisor to say, how should we fund these future projects too, and identify future financing options for those projects, all as part of phase one, and then ultimately, the impacts as it may relate to phase two. One additional benefit too that, should you kind of move forward with signing on for the whole rate study, we would hold the price. For example, let's say if your conventional rate case were not to be completed, for a year or two, and you wanted to wait on that, as phase one may indicate. I'm not saying it will, but if it does, we would hold the price on that conventional rate case with the city. Therefore, meaning, there wouldn't be any price increases to the city in order to complete the phase two efforts. So we would be analyzing those windows of opportunity in phase one, and that's kind of where we start for each utility. Typically, as you'll see in the stormwater proposal, those tend to be based off of equivalent runoff units, and therefore kind of all-encompassing percentage increases to those typically make sense. So we may not need, an additional rate study there, but if the community were experiencing, new customers or additional customers at any time that would have kind of complex equivalent runoff units, we would say it's probably needed at that point for that utility. But at that time, after speaking with staff, we didn't really sense that need. So phase two and beyond is kind of incorporated into the water and sewer proposals. So with that, I can kind of take any questions from the council.
Doesn't look like none apply at this time. Patrick.
Brian, just a quick question. I don't know if you talked at all. I didn't really hear anything about the city's debt ratio per our bond covenants. I don't know if you can touch on that or if that's more of a Sean issue.
Sure. So I believe your audit report, and I apologize as I was jumping in my vehicle at the time, but it looked like sewer was a little closer than water. But you are required to annually prove for any revenue debt that is outstanding that you are maintaining those bond covenants. So it's this phase one analysis will kind of go into deeper detail in terms of where you're at historically, where you've been at, and then also looking at those upcoming projects and those potential financing options as to what those impacts would be, and then we'd be making those rate assessments at that point.
In your covenants for your bonds for USDA, you have where they say that your revenue has to outpace your expenses. 1.10 is the magic number that Wendy and I found. And a lot of places where we saw it, it's starting to dip real close to that. And some places it could be under that. So that's the reason we brought this to you tonight. It's pretty important to stay up on those bond covenants if you want to not get in the bad graces of the USDA, and if you want more funds later on for other projects. They're going to look at things like that. So that's the reason for the rate case. Obviously, you got to go to, like I said, you got to go to Public Service Commission for the water, but to do a rate case, a full rate case, we're going to need this data to do it. For your wastewater as well, obviously not covered by the Public Service Commission, but we need to have firm data when we set those rates. How are we going to maintain our assets? How are we going to do projects in the future and be able to afford it? It's all about planning, and this is the first step in planning for the future.
Danielle, I'll make a motion to approve the proposal from Ayler's Public Finance Advisors for the performance of a utility rate study for the city of Rhinelander, not to exceed $27,000.
Hold second.
Any other discussion? Mr. Patrick, where do you plan on pulling the funds from to finance this?
I believe we're going to pull this out of the ARPA funding.
Okay. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Kieran Mikulowski,
Aye.
Tom Kelly, Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 11C, discuss and/or action a resolution 2023-39. Refer to Austin, our city clerk.
So as various court cases happen in the state of Wisconsin regarding election law, the WEC has decided to redevelop and redo how their envelopes are for absentee ballots to comply with those recent court decisions. So a lot of people have been stockpiling these envelopes, and if they're having to redo the envelopes, they're going to have to buy new envelopes. So the WEC has created a grant program for municipalities to receive funds to help pay for those envelopes. So the city of Rhinelander is receiving $851.50. But to get that grant, we do have to sign a memorandum of understanding. So that is why it is before the council. But it is money that we get to purchase those envelopes and offset the cost of buying all new envelopes.
Joe Peck move to approve resolution number 2023-39, approving, authorizing, and redirecting and directing the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding for the request of funds from the WEC's absentee ballot envelope subgrant reimbursement program.
Daniel, second.
Mr. Anderson?
I just wanted to ask the clerk, how much this is actually going to cost us?
So it all depends on exactly how much those new envelopes are going to cost. We have not seen those new envelopes yet, and we have not been able to get them to our supplier for those. And it all depends also on how many envelopes we buy. The clerk's office is very closely watching how much it's going to cost, because we want to order just enough that we'll be able to cover a record-breaking election, but also not too much that we're left with a bunch of extra ones that theoretically another court case could come along and lead us to having to throw all those out to go with a new one. So we usually keep it pretty close, but we don't know exactly how much it's going to cost for those new envelopes just yet. But we usually order enough each year to last all the elections for the following year. Now, next year, we're going to have minimum of 4 elections, including a presidential, so it's going to be a lot of envelopes.
So Austin, is this grant more of a help reimbursement for the change, or just help for future purchase?
So this is more so due with the change. The WC is aware that a lot of people have been stockpiling these. Our supplier has let us know last year that there was a paper shortage at the time, so we ordered more than we needed just in case. But as we go into this next election, we don't know how many we're going to need exactly until the elections start happening. So it's more so to reimburse municipalities who have to throw away their stockpile of envelopes to get these new ones.
What kind of stockpile are we throwing away roughly?
We are down to our last box, so there's not a lot of waste that's going to be done. We got very fortunate with the numbers that we decided on for this most recent order.
So it sounds like overall it's a net gain for the city of free money with little waste.
Absolutely. It's free money for the city, and there's not much waste.
Ms. Daniel?
I just have a question of curiosity. How much do we normally spend on envelopes for a typical, say, a presidential election year?
It's hard to say because the costs have changed, and this last one the last order was early last year, so I'm not sure the exact dollar figure, but we usually end up having, because as you know, there's 2 envelopes for each absentee ballot. So there's the outside one as well as the inside one. So you have to order kind of enough for both of those. Usually each election, there's about, I'd say, between 500 and 600 absentees that are sent out. So you're looking at almost 1,200 envelopes every election. Now the rolls are being maintained right now, so there's a lot of people who are no longer going to be receiving absentees that qualified under coronavirus rules regarding I forget the exact term, but the people, I forget the exact term, but there was a different process where you could get absentee ballots easier. But now those folks who have not voted absentee after a certain amount of elections are going to be removed from that list. Indefinitely confined. That's the program I'm thinking of.
Okay. Not seeing any other discussion. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Tom Kelly. Eileen Daniel.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson. Aye. Carrie Mikulowski.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to 11D, discuss and/or action of resolution 2023-40. This is by the all-class reunion. Refer to our city administrator.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So basically the folks from the Hodag Schools Foundation contacted Austin and asked for the all applicable fees for this to be waived for the all-class reunion, 2023 all-class reunion.
Mikulowski, I'll make a motion to approve the request from the Hodag Schools Foundation to waive all applicable fees for the 2023 all-class reunion, which is resolution number 2023-40.
Barnett, second.
Any discussion? Mr. Holt?
What's the dollar amount on this?
You're looking at Austin came with a breakdown of it, and I included it in your packet. It's a $100 special event application, $75 for blocking of 4 roads intersections, and $10 per barricade, which would be subject to cost from DPW and Police Department for installation of concrete barricades vehicles. I'm not sure exactly how much the final one would be, but it's going to be. Not, I wouldn't use the word substantial, but there will be costs.
Thanks.
Ms. Daniel?
Is this something we've waived in the past?
That I don't know. I wasn't here, so I'm sorry. I don't know that.
Mr. Barnett?
We typically haven't had to do this. What we're doing right now is a fairly new thing. We have it in there because of the change that previous administration made to make the people who do this stuff pay money to the city that normally they didn't. So to say that paying for these events and stuff and coming before council asks for the fees to be waived is not necessarily a historical thing. This is a fairly new thing by previous administration.
Hi, Chief. How are you doing today?
I just want to find out for sure that doesn't include the additional staffing that we bring in, because this would be a significant hit to my budget. That event can't take place without law enforcement presence.
Looks like we have a representative from the foundation.
No, the only thing we've requested is a waive of the new fees that apparently took place or came into life in January. We pay for our police protection, which has become quite significant, in about $2,800 to $2,900. We also take care of all the cleanup, all the setup. And a number of businesses have commented that while the Schools Foundation does not make money on this event at all, we have a single donor. All of that money goes toward putting on this event, which costs us right around $25,000, including the police protection. Many businesses downtown have commented this is their biggest night of the year. So the foundation uses it as a fundraiser and that's been quite successful. We have a lot of alumni returning to town, many of whom have gone on to buy homes in the area, second homes in the area, open businesses, remodel dilapidated buildings on Brown Street for their businesses. And so we feel there's a great benefit to the community as well as to the school district. Our organization has raised over $8 million for the school district of Rhinelander. A big portion, went toward some of that went toward the dome, which I know benefits the entire community. But we get to a point where, as these costs escalate, we may have to ask whether or not we can afford to do the event. So no, it does not include the police protection. We'll still be paying for that.
Okay, not seeing any other discussion. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Tom Kelly, Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson, Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Kieran McLowski.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We appreciate your support.
Thank you. Moving on to 11E, discuss and/or action resolution 2023-41. Refer to Austin, the city clerk.
So just bringing back the second half of our alcohol beverage license renewals. As you can see, there are some new ones as well as renewals for businesses that already have them. I do want to make council aware and the general public aware that if these are all approved, that would bring us to 33 out of 37 of the Class B beer licenses and 29 of 33 liquor licenses. To get a liquor license, you are required to get a beer license. So the easy way of kind of breaking that down would mean we would have room for 4 more full-service bars or restaurants to open up within the city limits if these are all approved. So if there are any other prospective business owners who are looking to get those licenses, just know that we are starting to approach our state statute limit for these liquor licenses.
Would there be any liquor licenses that have not reapplied or outstanding? Or would this be incomplete? So,
no, yeah, it's all.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone who has had one in the past has applied to get a new one, other than Dinky Diner, of course.
Mr. Barnett?
Chief, do you have any thing to say on this?
From the fire department standpoint, we have no deficiencies open on any of the liquor licenses at this time.
Thank you.
Daniel, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-41, new and renewing liquor license applications as received and presented by the city clerk.
Hold second.
Any other discussion? Okay, not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
David Holt,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Kieran McLowski,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Tom Kelly, Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Chris.
Motion passes. Moving on to 11F, discuss and/or action on resolution 2023-42 for a taxi license. Austin?
So kind of like we do every year, we do have to renew our taxi cab license applications. This is the only application that we have received so far. There is the other Hodea cab company that we have reached out to multiple times and have not heard back from them. We've sent letters as well as phone calls. According to the ordinance, there's not really any kind of fine or anything if they do not reapply. So we are going to be continuing to contact them every day until we do receive their application so that they can keep operating.
Daniel, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-42, approving taxi cab license applications as received and presented by the city clerk.
Hold second.
Any discussion? Mr. Anderson?
Well, just a question. Somehow it's in my mind that there was a third one last year or the year before. Does that still exist?
I do not think so. I'm not aware of a third taxi cab.
That might have been an overlap with Hodag forming and its predecessor going out, maybe? but that might have been
I don't
2+ years ago. Okay, not seeing any other discussion. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Gary Mikulowski,
Aye.
Tom Kelly, Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 11G, discuss and/or action of Resolution 2023-43, refer to City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. So I received a call from Ben Gothier a couple of weeks ago. Apparently they're raising money. They've raised $100,000 to resod and redo the fields at Hodag Park there. And apparently they did this last year, is my understanding, or was it the year before they did this? And basically they're looking to do it again. There's no cost to the city. Hodag Little League will be picking up tab, but they need to have an agreement with us in order to have Beck's Turf do the work on the field.
Daniel, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-43, approving an agreement with Hodag Little League for improvements to the Hodag Park fields.
Jopek, second.
Steve, the city attorney, any concerns from your point of view?
No, I looked it over, it's fine.
Okay. Any discussion?
It's the same as we've done in the past, just so everybody knows it's done in the past. And we did fight with them once to get the language we now have, so.
Okay, not seeing any discussion. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Gary Mikulowski,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Tom Kelly.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 11H, discuss and/or action Resolution 2023-44, refer to our City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. So Tim Jewell is looking to do, Tim, are you out there? Yeah, I thought that was you, Tim. Tim's looking to do a project at 667 West Kemp Street, which is the former roadway in. This was brought before Planning Commission last fall, I believe, to do some apartments in there and some mixed-use space in there. We got Tim Jewell here and Jim Rosenberg as well. I know Jim's out there. He's probably there. He is. Who can speak on this? But this is a resolution that the council needs to pass in order to move forward with the project and the application.
So I am just here to answer any questions that you guys may have. We started this process about a year ago, and I met with Mayor Hannes and the previous city administrator. Been working on it ever since. Been about a year so far. We have architectural plans. Plans are submitted to the state right now. We do have a loan commitment from a lender that I have in Milwaukee, but the lender is extremely risk aversion, concerned about the ability to fill studio apartments, the ability to get the rents that we have to project. I've committed myself to this project in such that I have sold property that I've owned to put money into it for down payment purposes. Conversion cost on this project is going to be just under $500,000. The entire project is going to be about $1.6 million. I want to thank the council for hearing this. I want to particularly thank Mayor Hannes and the new city administrator, Patrick Reagan, and Jim, who's been very instrumental in providing information on programs, which is why we're here. There's a program that Wisconsin Economic Development Commission has in place that I will let Jim speak on if he's willing or if he wants to, that would provide some grant funding towards the conversion costs mixed-use development. These programs do not take any money out of the city funding, out of the county funding. It's basically, my understanding, is a grant that's set up by the state specifically for these types of programs. And so what we're trying to do is to see if this project would qualify, and we need the county and the city to actually apply for this, even though as a developer I'm the one that's bringing the funds to the table and so on. But I guess just whatever questions you have. Yep.
What is the rent price point that you're looking at?
So we're definitely targeting low income. I mean, that's our goal. The one benefit about working with many benefits, but the one that I see for the city standpoint is that by utilizing the Wisconsin Economic Development Grant, it forces this project to maintain and stay within low income. So we're targeting rents at around $600 a month. The conversion is going to be, everything's going to be new. It's got to be brought up to 23 codes. I got 4 or 5 inches of information over the last year from architects. We're using all local vendors, contractors, such people that you guys would probably know, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, sprinkler companies. And the utilities are all being paid by me, the owner. So ultimately, it's a nice, I think it's a good fit for the needs of the people of Rhinelander. And the rents, again, at $600 a month for all utilities included, I think are as fair as I can go. And that's, again, a concern for my lender because the numbers are extremely tight with the overall project.
I think that's fair.
Mr. Holt?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and motion to approve resolution to apply for the CDI grant for a commercial mixed-use redevelopment project at 667 West Kemp Street.
Mikulowski, second.
Resolution number 2023-44, by the way.
Assuming Mikulowski is still okay with your second?
Yes.
Okay. I would have some questions more for Mr. Rosenberg's side with the grant side of it.
Sure.
Nice to meet you in person. We've done a lot of, is this turned on?
Yes.
We've done a lot of phone conversations back and forth, and this is actually the first time we've met each other in person. So it's a great program. I'm really happy about this particular application because WEDC, we don't normally do housing projects, but we do have this program that allows for mixed use. So we have at least a fig leaf of mixed use incorporated into this project. But we've got a housing crisis across the north. People, it's hard to house workers. I get called, and it isn't just super low income or tourism related. It's for example, people that are being sent to the forestry headquarters, and I get calls from Madison. Hey, my daughter just got a job. Hey, congratulations, I say, but I don't know where the available apartments are. So this is a chance to mitigate that a little bit. And the city is not on the hook for any of this grant or anything like that. The performance is going to be strictly on the part of the developer. But we do require with this program for the city to actually be the applicant for the grant. So and that puts another set of eyes on things and provides a little more control over the situation. We do about $8.2 million worth of these grants around the state each year. And so it's not a huge amount, but it's enough to do some good. And we've done them in Rhinelander before too. So with that, any questions that people might have?
The one I would have is what's kind of the timetable for finding out if, well, the city or in this case, the development qualifies, and when would those funds be accessible if picked?
Okay. Well, what I tell people is, for one thing, it's not a suitcase full of money scenario with us. So there's, once the grant is set up, there are draws, and you can take about 3 of them over the course of the grant. And so those draws require that the matching funds be part of that. It's 3-to-1 with this particular grant in this county. And so I usually tell people 6 to 8 weeks after we get all the information on the application, of which there's plenty. And I appreciate the cooperation I've had from Mr. Jewell as far as providing me with background, but there'll be more. And so I would say it's going to take us a number of weeks to get our stuff together for the application, and then maybe 6 to 8 after that. Right now, we're just wrapping up fiscal year 23. Fiscal year 24 starts the 1st of July. So we're in good shape for funding of the program, and I'm sure you feel good about that. I do too. Other questions?
No, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So any other discussion? Not seeing. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Eileen Daniel.
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski.
Aye.
Tom Kelly. Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 11I. Discuss and/or action resolution 2023-45 for change order number 18. So this is regarding a patch that has been dealt with a couple times on Stephen Street, kind of by the Reincarnated store roughly. Initially, we thought it was faulty pipe, that's why this wasn't paid. Now we found out it wasn't faulty pipe or anything that the contractor did, so we're suggesting pay him for the work rendered. That pretty much sums it up.
That sums it up.
So,
Holt, I'll make a motion to approve change order number 18 for the Stevens Street Utility and Streets Improvement Project in the amount of $19,330.57. Resolution I did, 2023-45. Okay, well now I have.
Daniel, second.
any discussion? Not seeing, clerk, please take the roll call.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Tom Kelly. Eileen Daniel.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson. Aye. Carrie Mikulowski.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Motion passes. So J, we're more than able to talk about, but I would suggest that we table it because we have to tweak one aspect of it, and then we'll bring it back at our next council meeting. So,
Holt motion to table item J, resolution 2023-46.
Daniel, second.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Table passes. Moving on to 11K, discuss and/or action resolution 2023-47. Refer to Mr. Patrick.
Yeah, I would actually have asked Wendy Bixby to come up to the podium here. We've been talking about this. It's for bond counsel for the Oneida Avenue Street and Utility Improvement Project, and Wendy knows quite a bit more. She's been in since the beginning of this. So the need for bond counsel and et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so when we do our borrowing, Ellers is our municipal advisor, and Quarles and Brady is the company that we have used for the bond counsel. They take care of all the legal work and helping us with the official statements that go out to the public. The municipal advisors help us with the competitive bidding to secure the bonding with a source. This one is going to be with the Safe Water Drinking Loan Program, where we already have the source as we're getting the funding from the DNR. So Ellers does not need to be involved with this one, but we do need the bond counsel to go through the legal paperwork of it.
Daniel, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-47, approving, authorizing, and directing the mayor to sign an engagement letter from Quarles and Brady for bond counsel services for the issuance of water system revenue bonds for the Oneida Avenue Street and Utility Improvement Project not to exceed $13,000.
Holt second.
Any discussion? Not seeing, clerk, please take the roll call.
Eileen Daniel.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Tom Kelly. Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 11L, discuss and/or action resolution 2023-48. I don't know, since you brought the resolution, if Mr. Barnett?
So resolution number 2023-48 is a resolution I brought forth during the craft show down at Hodag Park. They had a community band playing, then they played the national anthem, and I had several veterans as well as Rachel from the chamber reach out to me and asked if there was any way we could get an American flag to fly down at the amphitheater, so whenever a community band or a band in general plays the Star Spangled Banner and we have veterans present, it would be nice for them to have something to salute and look at. So this resolution is for installing that flag down there, and yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-48, that an American flag be placed at Hodag Park outdoor stage for all public events and performances.
Anderson, second.
Any, Ms. Daniel?
My question is, I know that when they were talking about putting the flag downtown, there's a whole thing about there's a certain way you have to raise the flag. There's a certain way that you have to bring it down when it rains. You have to bring it down for certain things. And so who is taking responsibility for maintaining that flag?
That would be the Parks Department.
Have they agreed to this?
I haven't asked them.
I'm just wondering if we have the resources available to be doing this sort of
that
thing.
I don't know. A lot of flags will be up in the rain and whatnot. I know it's important to put a light on them, but I'm not a flag expert on that, so I'm not exactly sure.
Flags cannot fly during a storm. You have to take it down. Unless you have it written, or there's certain flags that have exceptions where they can be out in the inclement weather. You do need to decide how you're going to do this. I mean, I hate to pull on my strings as American Legion person, but I think you all saw me last meeting doing that, but there is flag etiquette. I think that the purpose of having a flag, and I would certainly advocate the flag be available, but I think that you do need to put groups that want to use the flag or to use the facility, give them the responsibility of obtaining the flag, putting it up and taking it down, unless you're going to put a permanent flagpole in the park that's lit, and then you can get exceptions for weather and inclement weather, etc., such as the one that flies out here on the big pole. But if it's simply to make a place available to the flag or make a flag available, then I think you can do that. And I think most organizations that want to put up a flag, all they're really asking for is a place to put it. That's my experience, and I've been doing flags for a long time.
Mr. Holt?
I agree with what has been said. In terms of keeping the code and flag code and being respectful, it's important to understand that this is in principle, I agree with this. I think it's a great idea, but so that people know that this is the beginning of a process that we really have to do in an orderly manner, correctly, and make sure that the people that are putting together the policies for it are flag experts, and we have all our I's dotted and T's crossed, because many people in this community take this very seriously when you're displaying an American flag.
True. Mr. Jopek?
Is there a flag at the baseball diamonds? Because I recall when they have a game there, they play the national anthem before the game.
I believe there is. I'm not sure if it's up all the time or if it's supplied by a group or not. So.
Okay. I mean, just in my perspective, and I agree with all the sentiment. On a military installation, most of the times when you're driving around, you don't know where the flag is on post. And when reveille or retreat or anything is played, you climb out of your vehicle and you salute the direction that the flag is. And so just in the meantime, while we're trying to work out financing and doing the appropriate way, military members, at least in my experience, are pretty consistently familiar with the ability to locate their flag, and if we can figure out if there's a flag at the baseball diamonds, it's in a general vicinity where salutes can be rendered should they want to. That's just my 2 cents.
There is a flag at the baseball diamonds. It's right in the middle of where all three fields are, and actually it was just last week that the parks took down 1 or 2 trees so it's more visible. Otherwise it was starting to get grown where you couldn't see it. So they are fixing it.
True. I don't know if you still had something, Mr. Barnett.
I'm sure that if we reach out to the AMVETS or another organization like that, they probably wouldn't have a problem helping with that stuff.
Okay. Ms. Daniel?
The resolution is not very clear on, it's not asking for a flag pole. It's just asking that a flag be displayed. It's asking for it to be displayed during public events and performances, not all the time. Is it possible we just make a stand that people can stick? Because I know, like the American Legion, those folks, they have the poled flags that they can just put into a stand. So if we just have a flag holder on the stage, I think that's adequate.
Mr. Jopek?
Just spitballing here, another thing that frequently happens is hanging them from the rafters, according to flag code, and then making sure it's displayed appropriately. So if you go into the Hodag Dome, for instance, there's a flag up in the Hodag Dome that's just hanging from the wall appropriately with the blue on the left. So, I mean, there's a multitude of approaches. You know, I guess it depends on how fancy you want to be. And so, yeah.
Okay,
Can we table it and figure out like cost and expectation and those kind of things before we, you know, I don't want to make it seem like we're saying no to the American flag, because that's not what's happening. But just to figure out, you know, what are the costs, what are the expectations, what can AMVETS help us with, those kind of things.
I would say yes. We would probably come back with a couple proposals, because the cost could be anywhere from $500 to $10,000 depending on size and what we want to do. One of the things I would point out that could be of value is we do have those fade lights built into the stage, which could be programmed to stay on. So if we're hanging it from the rafters, it wouldn't cost really nothing to illuminate, just some programming. So that could be a way to, you know, looks like our chief has something to say.
Yeah, I think I would kind of recommend not looking so much at the material flag, canvas flag, possibly some kind of art or something in there which kind of fits in with what we're doing down there at Hodag Park anyway. That can also be used as the same kind of deal. So I wouldn't get too wrapped up in and that's coming from a vet myself, so.
So maybe more direction to partner with Art Start to make a mural of some kind that's similar?
I would say, you know, use it as an option.
Mr. Anderson?
I move to table this resolution in order to flesh it out more in terms of what we really want to do and what the options are.
Would there be a second to the motion?
Jopek, second.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling, say aye.
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 Oppose, abstain, motion to table passes. Moving on to 11M, discussion and/or action for resolution 2023-49. This is for a quote of ADA wheelchair compliant picnic tables. I believe this is the lowest bidder of 3 companies, and it's for 12 tables to be dispersed throughout the city green spaces and parks.
Daniel, make a good grief. Daniel, make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-49, approving the quote from Treetop Products for the purchase of 12 Comfort Series wheelchair accessible rectangular picnic tables for various city parks and green spaces for a total price of $13,257.45.
Hold second.
And then this would be using the city's allocated room tax reserve, which I think we're sitting on a balance of 40-ish thousand? 56,000. So this would be taking funds from that account. Mr. Anderson?
Is the number 12 based on having 12 specific sites in mind?
Roughly, so we are looking at 1 per pavilion at each of our parks, 1 by the boat launch over by Boyce, the dog park, of course, and I believe 2 for downtown, as well as our Stevens Sports Square, that kind of stuff. So that's how we kind of came up with 12. And I think there might have been a discount if you order 12 or more, which happened to work just perfect.
Sounds like they'll all be put in places that the location is accessible also.
Correct. Part of this would go in conjunction, so like by the boat launch on Boyce, there'll probably be some concrete poured, a little slab, because it makes it easier for someone in a wheelchair, you know, not to have to go over grass and rocks if they could just go solid surface to table. So, okay, not seeing any other discussion. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Kiri McLowski.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Eileen Daniel.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Tom Kelly.
Okay, motion passes. Would anyone like to take us into closed session?
Joe Peck, motion to go to closed session. A motion may be made to convene in a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.85 1E in order to deliberate on the possible sale or lease of public properties wherein for bargaining reasons a closed session is deemed necessary. Upon conclusion and adjournment of closed session, the council shall return to open session, at which time it may or may not take any action.
Daniel, second.
Clerk, please take the roll call.
Gerald Anderson.
Aye.
Stephen Jopek.
Aye.
Eileen Daniel.
Aye.
Gary Mikulowski.
Aye.
Tom Kelly. Thomas Barnett.
Aye.
David Holt.
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Okay, it is 7:31. We are going into closed session.
Can we take like a 3-minute recess?
It is 7:43. We have come out of closed session with nothing to report. Moving on to 14, future agenda items request. So we have the trailer park leases, permits for the future. Anything else anyone would like to see on a future agenda item? Ms. Michalowski?
I think we need to address the decibel limit at Hodag Park for that band shelf. That could,
I would like to add to that the issue of the mobile home park permits, specifically about the ordinances or the ordinance surrounding the guidelines and such.
Okay. Mr. Anderson?
I just had a question. Looking at the list we have now, anybody know what G is? Kemp Street discontinuance?
G would be Kemp Street Bridge replacement.
No, D as in dog.
That is connected to the Cobblestone Hotel project. It's the Kemp Street, not the main street, it's the spur, because they would be combining two lots, thus the street would be reduced a little. So, okay, not seeing nothing else. It is 7:44, meeting adjourned.